Alhamdulillah, I think we're having a positive afternoon, and this is what we intend doing is, of course, changing people's perspective and giving them a better outlook, and of course, giving them that hope. And this is where you come in this afternoon as well.
Yes, yes,
Um, I know there's been a lot going on with, school students on the whole, should we say, generally. But today, I think this afternoon, we want to emphasize, of course, on the grade 12 learners and, of course, the difficulties that they went through during this
yes,
period. I mean, it's been a very difficult period, especially with COVID-19.
yes,
There's been so many backlogs and, of course, these breaks. I think it does kill the momentum. Would you agree with me?
definitely, 100%. I think one of the biggest problems that the matrics on the whole faced was the transition from face-to-face learning to online learning.
Mm.
And this was across the board. That was the biggest problem because in first term, they had normal face-to-face learning. And for the remainder of, from March till June, it was only online learning. And I think that was the biggest problem. Not only learners faced this problem, but also teachers, because a lot of teachers had to up their game and start being familiar with Zoom and MS Teams and so on, and having these online lessons, creating slides, and learners were not attending lessons and so on. So it became a bit difficult. But over and above all of that, the marks for third term bear witness that it was a difficult year all round.
Most definitely, and
From
I'd
day
agree
one,
with you because the thing is, I mean, as we said, it's a whole change altogether. I mean, of course, being face to face, student to teacher, if the child finds some form of challenge or a hurdle that they're experiencing, you're right there to sort it out. You're there to direct them. Whereas online learning, it's literally they're just getting the lesson and then trying to figure it out, and there isn't that backup system. Of course, having to come back to you in some other way to be able to connect and get going on it. And I think that alone was a challenge on its own just for these students.
yes, definitely. And even with regards to those learners who go for tuition and stuff, even the tutors had to then move to online tutoring because they could not have face-to-face tuition anymore.
Yes.
However, having said that, when the matrics came back from the break, remember the matrics and the grade sevens were the first to come back to school when we started phasing them in.
Right.
And a lot of work had to have been retaught from scratch because learners were not up to speed and not everybody had access to online learning and so on. And so that did make it a bit difficult for educators to try and squeeze in enough of the content to prepare them adequately for trials.
Yeah, and I know I spoke to a few older educators, and I think it made it more difficult for them as such because they're not so online savvy. So I think a lot of the older educators were actually recording their actual lesson in a form of being in the classroom kind of situation, and then of
Yes,
course posting it everywhere.
yes,
I think the challenges have been throughout, but coming back to my question here, coming towards now, them writing their trials. Of course, it hasn't been very positive due to the type of hurdles and challenges that these poor students and, of course, the teachers were facing. So I don't think it's too late. It's never too late to sort anything
yes.
out. Talk to us about what sort of pointers that they can take on to be able to try and save themselves for the year. Because if you really look at it, they still have finals that's coming up.
Yeah.
So I'm sure there's quite a few things that they can do in this period of time to be able to help themselves move a bit forward.
So firstly, I'd like to start by reminding all the matriculants that first term, second term, and third term only count 25% towards your final mark. The final paper is worth 75%.
Right.
And being an educator, I've seen learners who failed throughout the year, come end of the year and they get an A
Wow.
because they killed that final exam.
Mm-hmm. So,
And I want to remind the matriculants that it's the last paper that counts the most. Not all is lost. You can still save this year.
right, I agree with you. So let's go through some pointers there. Give them some ideas on how they can actually go about doing that. Because I think a lot of the times what happens is, as I think you are a ray of hope for the afternoon for these students, where you're going to give them some good pointers to say, this is what you can do in order to save yourself, and this is how you go about doing it. So I think you can talk us through that.
So firstly, number one is there's a website called Parent24. This website has past papers from 2015 till 2019. There's 3 papers per year. There's March papers, there's June papers, and there's November papers.
Right.
So we are looking at least about in total 15 papers that they can use, and it comes with memos.
Right.
So a lot of good past papers online, very good practice questions. Then there's another website, I'm sure everyone is familiar with them, Siyavula.
Mm-hmm.
The Siyavula website is amazing. The nice thing about this website is that they have questions per section, per subject. The nice thing about this website also is that they introduce you nicely with a few examples.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a few questions with solutions. And then there's practice questions for homework. Brilliant, brilliant website. Definitely, I recommend this one. Any grade, by the way, from grade 1 till matric, Siyavula has everything that you need.
Now that's very helpful because, like you say, it's not just one aspect of it. I mean, it's helping out through all, should you say, across the board with all subjects.
Yes, yes. And then there's another one, I think it's called Mindset Learn, similar like Siyavula, multiple questions and so on. There's another website by the Department of Education. They have made a collection of videos
Mm-hmm.
by teachers and tutors across the board. Brilliant videos of educators teaching content. The teacher will first introduce the content and go through past paper questions. It's on the Department of Education's website. There's a list of videos. Brilliant, brilliant videos as well.
Yeah, no, I think that's nice because the thing is, like you say, instead of also just trying to figure it out, they can go back onto that site and have a look at the tutoring of it, of that particular subject, and then of course go through those past papers.
Yes, and also I just want to tell the matriculants that as much as they off now until the 5th of November, because the first final paper is on the 5th of November,
Mm-hmm.
I think because the schools are going back on the 2nd of November, they should go into school for a few days and make contact with their teachers. If there's certain sections they still need brushing up on, make some contact with your teachers at school still. They should still be available during your periods in school.
Mm-hmm.
Please make contact with them. Use them while they are still there before you go into your final paper.
I so agree with you because I mean the thing is a lot of the times, like you say, they're going online, they're going through those tutoring sections, they're going through those past papers, and then they can obviously, highlight all their situations where they're finding a problem, what it is that they don't understand, and take that highlighted version to the teacher, and of course alleviate that issue of the misunderstanding, where they can't move forward with it, and then once they write the paper, they know they sorted out.
Yes. And if there's another tip I can give to all matriculants, I would like them to take advantage of the fact that you know by now already which sections you are struggling with. You already know where's your strengths and where's your weaknesses in each section or in each subject. Take advantage of that and start now strengthening those weaknesses. Take advantage of the time that you have by going through past paper questions and strengthening those ones. Those that you're already good at, don't focus too much. I'm not saying leave it out, just you don't have to dedicate that much of time.
Most definitely, they can just brush on it, of course, revise, and then go through the serious issues that they're having, go to the teacher, try and get the teacher to sit down with them and, of course, explain that particular aspect that they're finding a problem with.
And something also that's important to take note of is that the way you would study for mathematics is completely different to how you would study for bio, for example.
Right.
But also, they should double check and just take a nice check of how they are studying for these subjects. Because you'll get some learners, they are swapping off equations for mathematics. Mathematics is a subject that's purely application. Mm-hmm. You can't use just theory and knowing all the equations. It's all about practice. Mm-hmm. Similarly for bio, you don't need that application. It's more swatting and cramming the syllabus.
Most definitely.
So what I tell generally all my students is that you know by now what's working and what's not working. You know which section is a problem. Go and sort it out. If you're still not getting it, then maybe look at changing your study method for it. There's flashcards you can use. There's acronyms you can use for certain sections. Some sections are purely application. And they should dive into different study methods for the relevant subjects.
Right. Yeah, no, I agree with you there. What sort of advice would you give parents? Because I mean, I think the stress levels, I know I went through it. My son's now 24, so I'm past the stage. But I
Yes,
think a lot of the times the parents actually stress more than the kids do.
generally, yes, that's true. And I see it when the parents come into school and they're like, why did my learner fail? What happened? And, I had a parent come in today as well.
Yes.
And I had to explain that, the transition from the online learning, or rather first from face to face to online and now face to face again, you need to give the learner a bit of room to make certain mistakes because it's been a tough year. And if
Mm.
I can just um, make a small plea to parents to be a bit more supportive now more than ever to your children because it's been a tough year, and just provide a little extra support, that extra motivation to be like, don't worry, it's okay. This year
Mm.
is not all over. We can still make it happen, at the end of the year.
Yeah, and of course, it's a day and age where there's so much of help out there, like you said, through online, so different videos, tutoring, and I think the teacher support structure has been there always, and it still is there. So I think they need to take advantage of that as well.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. And what's nice is if the parent is still unaware, or rather not unaware, but not uncertain in terms of how the learner has dropped or why have they dropped, go in and make contact with the teacher itself, form like a study plan in terms of how you can get your child, or what can you do as a parent. What does the teacher require from you in terms of that specific subject? Does the teacher require to monitor that the child is doing homework every day and so on? That will also be really good, interacting more with the teacher on that specific subject that your child has failed.
I so agree with you. What message do you have for all matriculants?
So for all matriculants, what I want to say is it's the last lap. It's almost over. Don't give up. The finishing line is very near. I know it's very pressurizing because your entire schooling career is based on this final exam. I can understand the pressure that you are under, but don't give up. Sacrifice whatever you need to. There's just a few more months left. Not even a few. It's just a month left. Give it your all. Whatever you have left in you, just give it your all. Because going forward, that matric certificate is with you for life, unfortunately. I know that doesn't make the pressure any easier, but give it your all. It's the last lap. You're almost there. Don't give up.
Most definitely. And what would you like to leave the parents with? I mean, a lot of the times, like I say, the parents are stressing more.
Well, the parents, all I can say is, I know they stress more than the students actually, because they're. But anyway, for the parents, all I want to say is, hang in there as well. With regards to your children, be there, a pillar of strength, support them, and try and make this process as easy as possible for them as you can as a parent. And yeah.
Most definitely. But we also want to take the time out from the Salam Media team and commend all the teachers out there, every single one of them. I think we can call them frontline workers. They've literally gone the extra mile to try and help the kids do whatever they could by going online and, of course, creating a support structure. Whereas, we could have just sat back and said, no, now let's let this year go by. And that's just about it. But I think each teacher that we know has actually tried to do something or the other to be able to create that added support structure during the COVID-19 period. So we'd like to say a big shout out to all the teachers out there for really going that extra mile and definitely creating that support structure. And of course to you and of course your team there as well. Well done. We wish all the matriculants nothing but the best. Inshallah, we wish you guys all the success. As you said, there's a lot of time to turn it around. But Jazakallah so much for actually taking the time to join us this afternoon and inspire those matriculants to actually go that extra way. Thank you so much.
Okay, Jazakallah. Also, one more thing before I go, I'd like to give a message to all the teachers.
Sure.
Just in terms of with regards to how they have been, like how you said, going the extra mile and so on. Just a slight tip for them, for all those learners who have failed for term 3. Maybe what would be really good, what we're currently doing, is to create like this learner support program, where we're creating a portfolio file for each learner that didn't do well. And how can we now, going into the 4th term, which is really short, because there's not much time before they write finals, be it for grade 1 till 11, there's not much time before they write the final exam. So just in terms of creating a nice learner support program for those who have failed, and how can we assist them in terms of extracurricular, I mean, not extracurricular, but I mean like extra exercises, tests, maybe having extra lessons on a Saturday morning for the grade 11s and for the 10s and so on. That would be really good for these learners as well. Just for some extra support from the teachers would be really good.
Most definitely. And I think you have already gone that way out, but this will definitely do it. Jazakallah for your time. We really appreciate it. And we wish everybody the best of everything for the year coming forward. And of course, to you, the educator, for actually going that extra mile. Thank you for joining us this afternoon.
Jazakallah so much, Nafeesa, and to the entire Salam Media. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam. And that was Rayhaan Jivan, definitely giving us some essential tips regarding matriculants, of course, not doing so well due to the COVID-19 period. You know, there's been those breaks in between here and there, and then the online learning. So a whole new phase of learning for these kids, having to deal with that. And then, of course, matric is very important. And I think that added stress as well. So we'd like to commend all the teachers out there for going that extra mile from the Salam Media team. A big shout out to all of you. And we're going to go for a quick break, and we're going to be joining a really lovely lady after this. So go grab that cup of coffee if you've just joined us, and get enticed, of course, to getting involved in uplifting communities.
Connect and stay ahead with Salam